And then Ross Dellinger. I don't know if anybody cranks out more information than he does. And he's also really good about if there is a story that perhaps somebody else is reporting that he's already written about it in a way to kind of reflect back on it. He's a grinder. The guy works his guts out. And here are some notes about the college football playoff. And you guys tell me or interrupt me when you want. Is this in reference, I guess, to what was going on when the Big Ten and SEC were discussing automatic qualifiers, et cetera? Sankey was talking about strength of schedule and metrics, et cetera. An update today. This is from Mitch Clark. Annual meetings coming up in Asheville. The presentation will focus on adjustments to the strength of schedule metric used by the selection committee. Mac Rose joins us tomorrow. And all I've seen in the last 3 to 5 or 6 months since the playoff championship is how the college football playoff committee is losing more and more clout, what it looks like to me. So we'll talk to Mac about that when he joins us tomorrow.
As well it should. I mean, like, look, I think our collective opinion is pretty similar here. I think it's maybe nuance that maybe separates it, but we kind of thought that it should be somewhere in the middle of a committee and some really strong metric numbers. I've mentioned the way that they select hockey as a framework several times over the show, but what I only worry about is what kind of strength of schedule metrics did they use, and if it starts any year other than the one that we're in, it's not accurate.
Yeah, or using any kind of preseason poll, because preseason polls are what might happen or what people project to happen, instead of like they do with the standings, Craig, wait till there's 6 or 7 games on the table before they release their standings.
Well, I don't know about you guys, but I always have fond memories of that 1 week that we didn't have to hear about the playoff. Because, man, it was a beautiful week when we didn't have to talk about these folks trying to get their heads wrapped around what this playoff's going to look like. Last week was incredible. But no, I think they're going to kill us off as far as interest in the playoff. With what
was that? Because Paul was out for a couple of days and we didn't talk legal stuff because we didn't understand.
No, it's because they weren't all peacocking on their respective platforms, trying to tell us what their angle was. But I mean, they're going to kill interest in the playoff just by talking about it to death. If it keeps going this route, but I mean, I'm all for a combination. As I've said before, I don't trust humans entirely. I think there is a way to allow computers to tell the tale with the metrics, but I'm with Paul and everyone else who's already suggested the same, that it depends on what those metrics are. Like, are we using preseason polls, which are biased? They are absolutely biased. And what are they based on? They're based on freaking recruiting rankings, which, that's an exact science, right? No, the hell it's not. It's very much an inexact science a lot of times. So, I mean, anything that can take some of that pre-baking in out of the equation would be fine with me. I don't know how you go about doing that because I'm just math stupid. So that will be the devil in the details that make this something that I'm in favor of, or something I have an issue with, but I'm all for a combination. I don't see why there should be any pushback really on that, to have as much of a wide scope as you possibly can with humans and computers. But the computers are also going to spit out what you've given it. So what are you feeding it, right? And if you're feeding it a bunch of biased, metrics, then that's going to be a problem. So that'll be, again, the important part of the information that eventually we receive. But keep getting talks going and figure this thing out so we can all move along and know what we're expecting in the future.
All right, well, there's some more from this. Clark, again, spending the last several weeks trying to create data points to be used in the playoff selection, heavily weighted on the team's strength of schedule, even using outside mathematicians and data analysts to assist in the endeavor. Adjustments are seen as a step in maintaining the selection committee's role, keeping their role important in a playoff that incorporates a big number of at-large spots, such as 16 teams, 5 automatic qualifiers, 11 at-large formats. Here we go. SEC officials have publicly encouraged such a change to the selection criteria. There was the college football expansion that may hinge on selection committee criteria. SEC's move towards an automatic qualifier heavy format in the Big 12 as well. So this is something where they're listening. But again, I'm not against the SEC or anybody wanting 5 at large and 11, automatic and 11 at large. I think that's the best way to go too.
And look, I think you do have to, feed some, fish to the SEC seal in the tank. I mean, they're loud. I mean, and they've earned a lot of that loudness, but you can't just say, yeah, we'll take your metric.
Some of them have earned that loudness.
Yeah, precisely.
Less than half of them have earned that loudness, actually.
So, less than half of them have earned that. But if you're going to tell me that 2007 is part of your metric, or 2022 is part of your metric, or any of that is, then GFY, I don't want that. The strength of schedule has to be about the present, not the past, the present season. And if you do that, then there we go.
Here's the thing. Just because the SEC or the Big Ten have ideas doesn't mean all of them are evil. We don't trust it as much. However, at the same time, when you started to say with the SEC, we never once mentioned the Big Ten, what the SEC wants or what the SEC's. Well, there's one tweet that I
think the difference. I think the difference is that the SEC is just so much more vocal and out front, and obviously I pointed that out as well. And I think that we look at them differently because they're a league that all acts like they're on the same par, whereas with the Big Ten, you kind of know it's a handful of schools, right? Like you kind of know who's pulling the strings there. It's Ohio State, it's Michigan, it's some of the newcomers. Whereas with the SEC, it's more of like Vanderbilt gets credit, more than anybody else would in a similar circumstance because of that affiliation. It's like, is that deserved or not? And most people would tell you that are unbiased. No, it's not. And so I think that's where some of the pushback there comes from. But I'm with you. I get really tired, actually, of the anti-SEC angle. It's valid in some cases, but it's also, I think, so widely overused that it loses any impact and just sounds like you're a hater. So
no, it does.
I think there needs to be a balancing act there. But I'm a little bit leery when all of a sudden they are like, oh yeah, this is a great idea, because I don't trust them. I don't trust Greg Sankey to do anything that's not just the best for them and them alone. And so that makes me go, oh, did you just step in a pile of S and walk right into their spider web that he had laid out there for you? And you know what? Based on his history, you probably did. I mean, I think I've brought that up a couple times of like, this whole thing is not just on a whim. They've been planning this out. This is Mr. Art of War. Like, it just feels like every step that's taken was somehow predetermined or pre-planned. And that's a weird feeling to have if you're these people in charge trying to make the best decisions for your conference of, are you doing ultimately what's best for them, even if that's not what
there are people within his own conference that don't agree.
Yeah, it's just that they work things very well. He's a very smart guy. Everything eventually falls their way. I think that, again, the metrics will be very important, because if you're using preseason polls when there's like 9 teams that are just automatically in there from that league, for example, then I don't think that should have a heavy bearing. It's a preseason ranking, but again, the devil will be in the details there.
The MOU, by the way, is a memorandum of understanding that was signed last spring between those two conferences, hold authority over the future format. We know that. We've discussed that. And, of course, that could end expansion after this 2025 season moves to perhaps the 16 teams into the future.
The only thing I ever take issue with and it's not with Ross or anything, but with the writing, it's always like doomsday. It's always like, if this doesn't happen, then everything could fall apart. And I just feel like it doesn't have to always feel so weighty. It doesn't have to always feel like everything's like this. If this doesn't get done, then the entire system will fall to dust. Like, it's always big and ominous. And I understand the point of driving it home that way, but I also think that some of that's like trying to it's like drive you with fear to the people that need to read that a certain way get pushed in the direction of getting this thing done, kind of a thing. Does that make sense?
Yeah, no, there was a response.
You better
to
do this,
there was a
or
response
all hell
to
breaks loose.
There was a response to all of these tweets earlier today. Is like Armageddon. You know,
yeah, it's always Armageddon.
Yeah.
But I think the answer is, and we heard it from someone last week. Forgive me, I've had a few palomas at the pool since then. But here's the consequence. If the SEC and Big Ten don't agree this year on a format and the SEC going to 9 games and all of that, do you know what happens? We probably just do the 12-team playoff until they do.
Yeah.
Like, that's what's going to happen.
But you know what? Okay.
Yeah, exactly. Like,
all right, let's do it.
It's kind of like, hey, it's not like if you don't board up the windows, the hurricane's going to rip your house up. It's like, hey, a window's open, and if you don't close it, it's raining. It might get a little wet in the bathroom, so you may want to shut that. Like, that's the worst. It's not a hurricane. It's just meh.
I think that the combination and some of this also allowed our growth to occur when we started 5 years ago. The conference realignment was a bang. Now, there had been some before with Missouri and A&M and Colorado, Nebraska, Arkansas, but I mean, the Texas OU, and then really for almost 2.5, 3 years, that was weekly. Whether or not the stuff that was being reported or not, it was some speculation, some of it legitimate. And there's a little bit of that we're going to discuss in a minute here on this show.